Jack from B&T MacFarlane, and today we're going over some BX matched implements, so let's get into it. If you're looking for a brand new BX tractor this summer, one of the biggest questions you're gonna have for your salesman or doing any kind of general research is what size of implements and what can actually fit on the backs of these tractors. Kubota doesn't do the best job telling you how much these tractors can handle in terms of the width or the sizes of the implements. So we're gonna make this video today going over every single implement you could imagine for the back of a BX tractor and saying what Kubota recommends for sizes and then what I recommend for sizes just from based on experience of what some of my customers have used in the past and what people have the best luck with. The first implement we're going to talk about are some Aerators by Landpride. This is going to be the CA15 series. These are core aerators. They range in size from about 40 inches to 72 inches. And according to Landpride, the sizes that match up to the BX series is going to be as big as a 72 inch, so 6 foot wide aerator. The only BX series that the 72 inch won't fit on would be that BX 1880. Since it has a little bit less horsepower than the 2380, 2680, and 23S, you're going to be limited to a 66 inch aerator, which is still pretty good size for a little 18 horsepower tractor. The next implement we're going to talk about is probably everybody's favorite implement, is the rear box blade. These range in size from 48 inches all the way up to 10 feet wide on some big M series tractors. The biggest one they recommend for the BX series would be a 66 inch box blade. The only one that, again, that won't fit on would be the BX 1880, but from my personal experience, 66 inches is getting up there in size for the BX tractor. You really have to look at what you're doing and what kinds of applications you're going to be using the box blade in. If you're only going to be using it for pulling some snow and some light grading work on your driveway, then you should have no issues. But the box blade, you have to remember, it has the wall at the back like this one here, so you can physically pull material. And if you're using the BX 2380 or 23S to pull material in a 66 inch box blade, it's going to be a lot of weight back there. So you have to keep in mind, if you're going up a hill trying to pull material, your tractor might not be strong enough to do that. So typically we sell the 54 inch box blade. It matches up pretty perfectly for the BX series because it's going to be wider than the tires, yet it's still going to be small enough that you're not going to overload the tractor. Next up on the list, very similar to the box scraper, we're going to talk about the grading scraper. The biggest difference with these implements is that they don't have the back wall. Instead of the back wall, you have a second blade. So if you're looking to just purely grade your driveway or grade trails, this is going to be the best implement for you. In terms of sizes, you can get them in a 48 inch wide one or a 60 inch wide one. This is going to be Landpride's GS05 series. Matched perfectly for the BX. No matter what size of BX you have, 1880 all the way up to the 2680, you're able to use the 60 inch grading scraper. That's typically what I'd recommend. It's a little bit wider. You're gonna take a few less passes. The only time I'd recommend the 48 is if you had size limitations. If you only had a 4-foot trail that you needed to get through, then of course you're gonna be limited to that 4-foot wide grading scraper. Grapples have become extremely popular implements for the front of these smaller subcompact tractors. We sell a pile of them. There's really only one grapple that we sell here. It's going to be the Landpride 54 inch grapple. That's going to be the SGC 0554. That's the only one we would recommend for the BX series. You can get a larger one, the 0660, but it's going to be a little bit wider, a little bit heavier than the 54 inch model. And really, you're not going to gain a whole lot of advantages going with the wider grapple other than grabbing a little bit more brush. But going with that wider grapple, it's going to be heavier. And the BX, as you know, it's limited on lift capacity, and you don't want to take away any more lift capacity than you have to. Now we're going to talk about some implements that sit on the exact same platform. That's going to be the landscape rakes and the rear blades. So the landscape rake from Landpride, that's going to be the LR series, and the rear blade, like this one here, that's the RB series. They sit on the exact same platform on the back of the tractor. In terms of landscape rakes, they come in sizes from 48 all the way up to 60 inches wide. They can recommend up to a 60 inch landscape rake for the BX tractor, except for the BX 1880. They only recommend a 54 or 48 inch landscape rake, which is kind of where I disagree with Landpride a little bit, because you're able to put a 60 inch rear blade, according to Landpride, on the BX 1880, where in my opinion you can move a lot more material and haul a lot more weight with a 60 inch blade than you ever could with a 60 inch landscape rake. And they're used for two different things. The landscape rake, it's really more meant for smoothing out sand or lighter aggregate material and separating the bigger rocks from it. So you're really not going to be hauling as much material as you would with a larger blade like this. So in my opinion, you can really just put a 60-inch landscape rake on a BX 1880 or the 60-inch rear blade on the 1880 as well. And of course, the larger BXs, they can handle either option. Now we're going to talk about some rotary cutters. These are going to be some heavier duty mowers that are going to go through some meadows, some field work, and even some light brush. Branches up to 1 to 2 inches, these can easily go through. From Landpride, they recommend putting a 42 or 48 inch rotary cutter. That's going to be the RCR 12 series or 05 series, depending on which one you get. Those can fit on any BX tractor except for the BX 1880. So that is something to keep in mind. If you do get a BX 1880, you are limited to not being able to put a rotary cutter on the tractor. Next up, we're going to talk about Landpride's tiller series. These come in two different models. You're going to have the RTA, which is going to be forward tine, and the RTR, which is reverse tine. Quick tiller lesson, the difference between those two: an RTA 4-tine tiller, the tines are going to spin in the same direction as the tractor, so it's not going to get as deep. It's really meant for more virgin soil that's never been tilled before. You're scared that it has some more rock, so if it hits a rock, it'll bounce over it a little bit easier, but it's definitely not going to fluff up the soil as nice as a reverse tine would. Again, like the name suggests, reverse tine, it spins in reverse from the direction that the tractor is moving. So it's going to be working against the tractor. These generally take a little bit more horsepower to run, but they're going to do a much nicer job. Since they're working against the tractor, they're going to really plant themselves into the ground, fluff up that soil nice, and get a lot deeper into the soil. This is really more meant for soil that has been tilled before, or soil you're not too concerned about hitting rocks or other things with. In terms of sizes, they come in sizes ranging from 42 all the way to 50 inches. Generally on the BX series, we'll sell the RTR 0550. That's going to be a lighter duty, shear pin model, reverse tine, 50-inch rotary tiller. I know that's a mouthful. So really it's just going to be 50 inches wide, reverse tine. That's really the standard one we sell across all BX models, all the way from the 1880 all the way up to the 2680. Now we're going to talk about some fertilizer spreaders. A lot of people use these for spreading seed, fertilizer. Some people even use them for spreading salt in the wintertime. If you do that, make sure that you're cleaning it out after every single use. These are Landpride's FSP series. They come in either the 500 or the 700. The 500 means it'll hold about 500 pounds of fertilizer. 700 is about 700 pounds of fertilizer. Any BX tractor will be able to handle either of these fertilizer spreaders. Just keep in mind, when you have 500 or 700 pounds on the back of the tractor, there's going to be a lot of weight at the back end. Don't put it all the way up, and just make sure you're going nice and slow. Don't go into any off-road scenarios with that much weight hanging off of the back of the tractor. Then we're going to talk about some loaders too. So the loaders, there's really only two loader choices. The BX23S comes standard with the LA340S, and all the other BX series, the 1880 to the 2680, all come standard with the LA344S. These loaders are identical. There's just a naming variation between the backhoe model and the non-backhoe model. Speaking of backhoes, the BX23S is the only BX series that can handle the backhoe. It has the right roll bar and right subframe, so that is something you do have to decide right at the time of purchase. If you get the 1880, 2380, or 2680, you can't get a backhoe from the start, and you can never add a backhoe down the road. So that's something, again, keep in mind when you're shopping for a BX tractor. If the backhoe seems useful for you, you do have to get it at the time of purchase. Next up on the list are front snow blowers. These are extremely popular implements that we sell on a lot of BX tractors here at this dealership. They come in a couple different models from 48, 50 to 55 inches wide with a couple different series. This one here is going to be the BX 2830. So this is going to be a heavy duty commercial grade front snowblower. The difference between the commercial grade ones and the residential ones is how the power is delivered from the tractor to the front of the blower. They both use the mid-PTO system with the K-Connect harness up front, but on the heavier duty commercial ones, they're going to be a gearbox inside of the snowblower, where the residential, that's only going to be the 50-inch model, is going to have a chain drive system. So if you're worried about catching a rock in the blower and breaking that chain, then going with the heavier duty commercial grade one is the way to go. So that's going to be the BX 2830 and the BX 2855. So those are going to be the heavier duty models. And then you're going to have the BX 2816. That's going to be the 50-inch residential model. If we're talking about rear mounted blowers, there's really only one choice for the BX series, the 2380, 23S, and 2680. That's going to be the 54-inch rear mounted blower. You can either get them with hydraulics or without hydraulics on the non-backhoe versions. The 23S, you can't have rear remotes on it because it has the backhoe, so you're only limited to the manual rotation. The BX 1880, we don't typically send the 54 or 55-inch snowblowers on them. Really, we send the 51-inch on the rear and then either the 48 or the 50-inch on the front. We're going to talk about the last couple implements here, the first one being on the front of the tractor. As long as your tractor has skid steer style front quick attach like all the BXs we sell here do, you're able to get a set of pallet forks. You want to make sure that they're within capacity of the tractor itself. You don't want to get ones that are too light and that will actually bend or break if you try and pick up something with them. So we usually sell 900-pound capacity forks. They're going to be well within the range that the BX can lift. But you also don't want to go too heavy. If you get a set of 4,200 or 5,000-pound pallet forks, they're going to weigh more. The frame's going to weigh more. The tines are going to weigh more. So you're going to eat into some of the lift capacity of the BX series. And then the last implement we're going to talk about, I'll show some videos of some, are mid-mount mower decks. So these are going to come in sizes from 48 inches, 54, and then 60 inches. They're going to be slide in the side style, or there's going to be some drive over style ones. The BX 1880 can only handle the slide in the styles mower deck, and they're only going to be limited to sizes of 48 and 54 inch decks. You cannot put a 60 inch mower deck on a BX 1880. It just doesn't really work. In terms of the other tractors, the BX 23S, 2680, and 2380, all those can run any of the other mower decks except for the 48-inch one. They can run the 54, 60 in both the slide in the side and drive over styles. And that's where we're going to end today's video. I was actually using this sheet that Landpride came out with. It's all the performance matched implements that you can get for the BX. It shows you what will work, what won't, the weights of each of the implements as well. I'm going to link that down below in the description if you want to take a look. It's going to show you exactly what your tractor can carry and what it can't. And as always, I just want to thank everybody for watching. If you're liking the videos, remember to like and subscribe. If you need help with parts, sales, or service, give us a call at 613-225-0555. Thank you.